Howdy, nerds! It's that time for the Bloomburrow Prerelease. We'll be playing this here at our store. So I'm actually going to use this for pre-release, and before I get accused of having too much time to prepare for this, I'm opening this right now. Not going to build a deck. I'm going to go help customers. I'm going to come back, build a deck, and then play in the pre-release here. Bloomburrow Prerelease pack. So this is a pre-release pack opening. I do this every set of showcasing the pre-release pack, and I will possibly post my results of how I did. We have the dice from Bloomburrow in the pre-release pack. And we're just going to open these packs and see what I would build. Of course, this might change when I mull it over and see what other cards and combinations I can kind of come up with. But I think it's kind of fun to open up a pre-release pack and give you my thought process on building a pre-release deck. So I am a limited player at heart. A little bit of history if you are new to this channel or haven't really heard my story. I started as a limited player clear back in the day. At one point in time, I believe my DCI rating was top 10 in the state of Utah. So I would just go and play drafts. So draft. So limited was my bread and butter. They switched it over from limited to, I'm just going to open these packs while I talk, just get them open. They switched it over from the DCI rating, which used to be an ELO rating system, to a thing called Planeswalker points, was just about, you got 3 points per win. And so at that point, you just wanted to play. So when they did that, and the whole point to points was they gave you buys at Grand Prix and they help you, qualify for Pro Tours. So I was an aspiring player that wanted to get to a Pro Tour, and so I would go to different FNMs and Grand Prix and stuff like that, and realized that I had to switch over because it used to be you qualified with your DCI rating, and then they switched it over to qualifying with just sheer Planeswalker points. So I realized I had to get into Standard, and that's how I started the Rogue Deck Builder, is I started playing Standard, and then I started getting these personalities that were just super spiked personalities that thought you couldn't build rogue decks, and that's how the term Rogue Deck Builder came to be. Is one particular opponent got upset that I was playing a rogue deck at a tournament and insulted me for playing a rogue deck, and I'd never heard that term before, and I thought it was like a catchy little term, and that's how Rogue Deck Builder came to be, because I was going to be the YouTuber that built only rogue decks to show those filthy spikes that you can actually be creative in Magic the Gathering. So anyway, still love limited though, because I feel like you get to play with more cards and experience more of the themes of the set. So our pre-release was the Darkstar Augur. So the Offspring, I've still not even looked at this set. I know I need to do a top 10 list of cards that I want to brew. I've been super busy. We'll get to it. So Offspring allows you to pay 1 to create a 1/1 copy of this. So this is a very, very low cost for the Offspring. Flying at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand. You lose mana value. This card's insane. Wow, this card is absolutely insane. This will see Standard play. It's got to. I mean, it's a little more than Dark Combat. For 4 mana, you can start drawing 2 cards per turn. I mean, you have anything like Shieldred, too. I mean, you're revealing you're not drawing, so it has a little bit of non-Boa Shieldred. But if you can gain some life back with, any sort of lifelink card, and, I mean, this is going to give you a lot of value. So I'm really liking this card. Here's a pre-release code for anyone that wants to go redeem this pre-release code for, I believe, 6 packs on MG Arena. There you have it. It is now ripped up. So whoever saw that, congratulations. So, all right, so Darkstar Augur is pretty decent limited card too. Unfortunately, limited, you do have high curves, so this could actually end up costing you a ton of life. And so unless you can really synergize it, I'm not sure how well this card... I mean, you get a 1/1 flyer or 2/3. Too bad they didn't give this sucker lifelink. That, of course, might just push it too much over the top. All right, so on the first pack, we'll just kind of spread these out into colors, and we will go from there. So we have the Agate Blade Assassin, which drains some life, so that synergizes with our thing. So again, this is a huge problem with new players. They get married to their promo. Do never get married to your promo or your first pack. Always open them all and then see what you have. So we have the Druid, which works off of +1/+1 counters. We have a Thought Shucker, which also works off +1/+1 counters. So we have Green Blue, I believe, works off of +1/+1 counters. We have the Banishing Light, which is a reprint, which is a really good reprint, and a very, very high impact, powerful card. We have the Might of the Meek, which gives something trample, +1/+1, draw a card. That possibly could see... it's +1 if you control a mouse. Okay, just trample and draw a card. But we've seen cantrips actually see play. Monster Soda Spear is still sticking around. It might not be as good as like the Ancestral Anger, but I mean, it's definitely an option for future Standard decks. We have the Junkblade Bruiser, which works off this expend, so it's just kind of a beater for 5 mana. And we have the Cultivator as well, which says whenever you forage, put a +1 counter on the Cultivator, and you can forage at the beginning of your combat. And forage is exiling cards from your graveyard or sacrificing food. So 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrificing food. So self-mill deck, this is quite a strong card. These type of hybrid cards, don't underestimate them because they can go in red or green decks, or green or black. So you don't have to be playing green and black. Yeah, I mean, you can splash in other colors. So we have the Blooming Blast, which is gaining a treasure and dealing damage, which is really good. So we have removal in red and we have removal in white. So you always want to analyze what is the acronym they have for limited. Something. So removal, I can't remember. So anyway, bombs, removal. What is the acronym? Someone tell me. But anyway, you want to look for, of course, bombs. Then you want to prioritize removal because removal can get rid of your opponent's bombs. Consumed by Greed is target opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures. If you gift it, you can also return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. So if a card for your opponent is worth less than whatever your best creature in your graveyard is, this is definitely a good card. Instant speed's awesome too. And in limited, this is going to force your opponent to basically get rid of their best card because it's going to have the greatest power. In limited, that's 9 times out of 10 going to be their best card. Constructed, not so much. The Jolly Gerbils, whenever you gift a card, draw a card. So, hey, gift cards, draw cards. This is a cool card. 2/3 too. I'm really liking that. So we got some really good white-black synergy going on at the moment. Really loving it. We can sugarcoat our video. You can enchant a creature or food and sacrifice an artifact you gain through life and it loses. So enchanted permanent is colorless and colorless food with sacrifices artifact gain 3 life. So why would you want to put it on your own food? I guess if it is a food, like a food in addition to it, because they have some foods that are like enchantments or artifacts. Anyway, weird. Okay, with Fabled Passage. Hey, Fabled Passage. That used to be an expensive card. So kind of not that great as a rare. You want cards that are more impactful rather than just fixing. And we do have the Starscape Cleric with Offspring. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses a life. So this is white-black is looking pretty good with our promo and our pack. I still say white-black, 2 removals. We have that gifting thing that can be fun. We have the Corpseberry Cultivator that can go in there. So far, I'm leaning towards white-black. So we have the Take Out the Trash. Deals 3 damage to target creature planeswalker if you control or can draw a card. So now red is looking really good because 2 removal spells. We have the good old Menacer that can basically pump. The good mana dump comes out early. It's like lizards have a lot of things that trigger in this. The Longstock Brawl. Creature control, put up a scanner, then they fight each other. Oh, cool. We have another fight card in standard. That's pretty cool. And you can gift a fish. You may promise a opponent a fish. Target creature, put a +1 counter on the creature if you gift it. Okay. This is cool. It is a sorcery speed fight card, though. Instant speed fight card is so much better. We have the Finch Formation. This is kind of fun, though, right now in Phyrexian Obliterator, because at least you can give your opponent a target. So you can promise a gift, and then they get the fish, and then you can fight the fish, and then not the greatest, though. We have the Finch Formation. Whenever this creature enters, target creature gains flying, and you can offspring it for a lot, so it's okay. Crumb and Get It. So here's a way to gift some food. Works with our little squirrel thingy. And target creature gets +2/+2, and can get indestructible, so not too shabby. It's the opposite of removal. You can protect a card and also pump it. We have the Fountainport Bell. You may search your library for a basic land card and put it on top and then sacrifice it to draw a card. So this is a good little cantrip. And the Head of Homestead. Enter the battlefield, create 2/1/1 white rabbit creature tokens for 5 mana. So you get 3/2 and 2/1/1s. Pretty decent. That's good value right there. And again, it can go in white or green. So I'm liking that card because of 2 hybrids that kind of work in our strategy. We have the Hazel's Nocturne. Return 2 dark creatures from your graveyard to your hand. Each opponent loses life, you gain 2 life. Okay, not too bad. And it's instant speed. Instant speed is so much better than sorcery for this particular one. I think this is super playable if you have a lot of creatures that value that come out and you can just grind out your opponent. So we have the Dewdrop Cure. Gift a card. Cool. Return 2 dark creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if the gift was promised. Instead, return up to 3 dark creature cards with value 2 or less. So we'd have to find a lot of synergies to make this worthwhile. With these, and milling too. We have the Splash Lasher. If it enters the battlefield, tap to 1 target creature, put a stun counter, and then we have Offspring. Pretty decent. You get a 3/3 and a 1/1 and can tap down 2 things. That seems pretty good. The Swing and Limited can tap down 2 of their best creatures and you can get in for some damage for a turn or 2. We have destroying a creature's power or toughness with 4 or greater. So loving the removal. And now we are getting very lucky because on our color combination pairs that we want, we get another rare with Zoraline Cosmos Collar. Whenever a bat you control, which is our promo was a bat, attacks, you gain 1 life. And whenever enters or attacks, you may pay 2 and 2 life when you do return target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. So once it dies with finality, it leaves. But again, this is huge synergy with bats and our color combination. And speaking of another low cost, we have the good old Brave Kin Duo that can give creatures a little bit of a buff. But again, I don't think it's playable as a 1 sorcery speed to buff something up. But yeah, it is something that does work with returning a bunch of creatures back. But I think I'd want some value out of here. So I'm liking the bats, though. Splashing red so far would be, of course, not too shabby. We have the Duo, 3/2, whenever you expend 4, target creature you control gets +1/+1. So expend 4 is casting something for mana cost 4 or greater. Actually, expend 4 is you spend. So does the Offspring actually spend additionally? Yes, it does. So it should work with Offspring, with the Rakshad Duo. So 3/2, and creature gets +1 trample. I mean, it's pretty good on curve, though. 3/2 Trampler. We have an Early Winter, exile creature. Beautiful. More removal spell. Or an enchantment. Or make your opponent sack exile enchantment. So beautiful. We have Cash Grab. Mill 4 cards and put a permanent from among them into your hand. If you control a squirrel, return a squirrel card also. And create a food. The value out of this card. We have a Bellowing Crier. That's me sometimes. Draw a card and discard a card when it enters. We have the Thistledown Players. Whenever Thistledown Players attacks, untap target non-land permanent. So it can untap itself. It's a 3/3 for 3, though. This is pretty much Vigilance. And a little bit better because you can untap something else. We can give stuff some haste with our Raccoon Rallier. And beautiful again because we have another way to gain some life at 2/3 flyer for 3 mana. With our synergy of wanting to gain life and draining life, I think it's actually pretty good here. There's our food and artifact. We have the Heap Harvest whenever it enters. And when you sacrifice, you may search your library for land and put it on the battlefield tapped. You can sacrifice it to gain 3 life. So, I mean, green splashing to gain a bunch of food and life doesn't seem bad, too, with our kind of life as a resource-heavy deck. We can gift a fish. And when Starforged Sword enters, if his gift attached the sword to target creature control, it gets +2/+2 but loses flying. So, unfortunately, we have a lot of flyers that would want this. So, we can gift it. A little rabbit can draw a card after gifting. The Heartfire Hero becomes a target spell for the first time. You put a +1 counter on it, and when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power. So almost like a prowess heroic type card, but only once per turn. And it also, if your opponent targets it. So this is kind of a cool little card for sure. The Bushy Bodyguard, Offspring for 2. You get a 2/2 and a 1/1 if you do the Offspring. Whenever this creature enters, you may put 2 +1 counters on it. So you have to forge, though, to be able to do that. So your Offspring could be pretty buff. A 3/3 and what does that make it? A 4/3 and a 3/3 for 4 mana if you have enough food and foraging. We have the Heartthorn Battler. Now it's definitely flirting me in red, especially since we have some lizards in black. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Battler deals 2 damage to target opponent. Oh, so it works off you as well. So it's not a downside for you casting 2 spells. It's just a downside for your opponent. And wants you to cast 2 spells. Kind of cool. Again, more of a constructed card in my opinion than a limited card, because casting 2 spells in a turn in limited is very, very hard to do. And we have this Changeling, which they can fix. So add 1 mana of any color. We do have some things that work off bats and other things. So I think this just change the card is definitely something that's easy to slot in. It also helps us fix a 3rd color if we need to. So not bad. And we got a Token Rat. All right, on to the 3rd pack. Or 3rd pack. We have the Warren Elder, which is a rabbit 2/2. Creatures controlled get +1/+1 for 4 mana. That's actually pretty good. Bears are very good in limited, so typically this is a great little slot with a little mana dump. Loving this card, actually. It does work with a lot of other synergies. You never want to pass up bears, because the reason why we call bears so pivotal, what a bear is just 2/2 for 2 mana. It's a reference to grizzly bears, one of the first Magic the Gathering cards printed in Alpha, which was just generic 2/2 for 2 mana. So they call those bears. And there was a few other bears after that, so that's how it stuck. And so if you can get a bear, a 2/2 for 2 mana is always playable and limited because it's double a 1/1 for 1 mana. And then by the time you get into a 3/3 is not double a 2/2. So efficiency speaking, a 2/2 for 2 mana is the most efficient way you can spend mana in Magic the Gathering. Even a 4/4 for 4 is arguably not the same value rate as a 2/2 for 2 because you can get in for some turns with this. It puts pressure on your opponent. It actually puts them at a decent clock. And so bears are highly playable. They're still basically as good at chump blocking as a 1/1 for 1. And so value-wise, it's just the most efficient for Magic. And that's why bears are very pivotal. We have the Brew, 2 mana, gift a fish as an additional cost, discard a card. And target player draws 2 cards. If the gift was promised, a creature gets +2/+0. So another way just to discard a card to draw 2 cards, instant speeds. They're giving upsides to typically cards that did see play in both limited and constructed. But what I really like how design has been doing limited lately is they've been creating these key mechanics on evergreen cards. And so, like we said, what was the first one? Torment. No, that was sorcery speed. What's the one that was instant speed that did this? I can't remember what the card was originally, but now we see like in sets, so discard a card, draw 2 cards, and then upside, which is awesome. So they're pushing the envelope with these type of cards. All right, gift of food and destroy target creature. If the gift wasn't promised, you lose 2 life. That is actually pretty powerful. 3 mana to destroy. Who cares if you give him a food? Your control deck. This is a cool card. All right, we have the Druid of the Spade. As long as you control a token, it gets +2/+0, so 4/3 for 3 mana. We have the Skyskipper Duo, a 3/3. Enters, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, return to the battlefield. So this is a cool little mechanic with the blinking. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any cards that really work with it. We have the Life Creed Duo. Whenever another creature you control enters, why do you keep doing this? Why is Soul Sister's ability too powerful for limited and standard? Why doesn't it say whenever another creature enters the battlefield? Why isn't it mirrored anymore? Wizard of the Coast, why did you kill that mechanic? That was the whole point to this mechanic, was taxing your opponent for casting creatures. The one-sided part of this is just so weak, especially on a 1/2 flyer. It is a bat, though. We do need life. We probably will play it. We have the Light Shell Duo, Surveil 2, Prowess 3/4. Pretty decent card for what it does. The Veteran Guard Mouse. When it comes to target spell, for the first time, it gets +1/+0 first strike and scry. Kind of a filler card. If we have to play it, it is okay. We have a Village can only be spent the green to cast a creature spell. This is a pretty sweet card, though, because it can add generic. And then you can put +1 counter on each frog, rabbit, or raccoon that entered the battlefield, or squirrel that entered the battlefield. So not too shabby. We have a Plume Creed Escort. Doesn't look like an escort. Flash flying whenever it enters I don't know what you people are into. When Plume Creed Escort enters, target creature you control gains hexproof. So pretty decent. 2/1 flying. Basically counters your removal spell. The Drew Drop Cure. We've seen this. Unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of synergy with it so far. And our rare is off color here. It's on the green now, which is actually looking tempting. With the 3 mana 4/4 Reach. Man, they keep pushing green cards. If it enters, destroy target artifact, and you gifted something, you can destroy target artifact or enchantment. But just a 3/3 for 4 mana is pretty strong. Like, they keep pushing it. It was used to be a 3/3 for 3, now 4/4. It has reach. Gifting, if you need to destroy an artifact or enchantment, you don't have to do it. So, man, this seems very standard playable. You do gift a card, though. We have a Waterspout Warden. We've seen this before. Can give stuff flying. And a foil land. All right, so we need some help to really solidify what color combination. I want to play white-black. I'd like to find some low-to-the-ground cards to make these gifts worthwhile. The Steampath Charger, a 2/1, and when it dies, it deals 1 damage to target player. This one's pretty decent for what it does. You know, for 4 mana, get 2 of them. Man, I am liking red. So red-black's looking good. Maybe even splash white for like the Banishing Light and the Zoraline. That could be a thing. We have the Squirrel, the 2/2. We can exile to return. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a perfect card that we can get back with our graveyard cards, or if it's in the graveyard, to get another creature. So it's just value city and then grind people down. Polywop, target creature deals twice its power to target creature you don't control. We have Runaway Together, which is a reprint, which was great for like ETB effects. High casting cost white card. Enters, put up some counter target creature control without flying. Kind of weird card. Seems a little underpowered. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put up some counter on. So this is like almost, yeah, this is just prowess, but even better. Pretty good card. That's a pretty decent card at common. This is an insane card at common, actually. We have a Moonstone Harbinger, another bat. So 3 for a flying Death Touch, and whenever you gain or lose life, it gets +1/+0. And Death Touch. Bats, all bats you control. Yeah, bats you control. Sweet. So we have a lot of bats. This works perfect with our bat strategy. You surveil 1 of the beginning of your upkeep, and then as long as there are 7 more cards in your graveyard, creatures your opponent control -1, -0. Pretty decent for an uncommon. That is good. The Flamecatch Gecko enters. If an opponent lost life this turn, add 2 mana to your mana pool. So almost like a Burning Tree Emissary here. So these cards typically see play. So yeah, because you can cast more of them. and I can just go nuts. So discard a card and draw a card for 2 mana. This is a cool card. I like it. I like this Lizard Warlock. We have the Mouse Trapper, 3 mana, unfortunately. Comes to target spell or ability you control first time. Tap target creature opponent controls. Okay, it's decent with flash. And we have Mabel. Now it's really making me want to splash one of the colors. Other mice you control +1/+1, and when it enters, create a legendary colorless equipment artifact that has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste for just 2 mana. This is a pretty powerful card. Yeah, I'm thinking splashing Fabled Passage is pretty decent. We have a few other fixing here. So white, black, red still seems the most powerful. And speaking of which, this one could definitely go in there too, which is the infamous Cruel Claw, which deals combat damage to player, exile card from the top of your library, and you may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Insanely powerful card if we can get some things that work with it. We do get another foil Village, which is decent, but so far green is just okay. There was too much filler in green as I'm looking through the card pool, and blue looks okay too. So I don't know, some decent cards here and there. I think white is the splash, just banishing light and the multicolored cards. And I don't even think we do the gift card. We might do the gift card because we do have a lot of gifting in black. We have the Thought Shucker. Put up a swing counter and draw a card. Only activate of 7 or more. We have the Intrepid Rabbit, which enters target creature controller +1/+1, 3 mana. That's pretty good for 4 mana, devil 1/1 and 3/2. We do have this like go wide strategy. There were a couple things that gave all of our creatures a buff, but it's more like bats. So white is kind of awkward. We have a lot of playables, but drawing cards with the Meek. We do have the Prowess card. I still like black, I think a little bit better, or red, a little bit better than white. So we have this Thornplate Intimidator, which is 4 mana with a huge offspring. When it enters, target opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice an online permanent. So late game, costing this for 7, you get a 1/1. Yeah, I think most of the time you're just casting this and then making your opponent lose. It's kind of a weak card in my opinion. We have the Baker's Bane Duo. Create a food, and whenever you expand 4, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Nice little bear. Also get a food for 2 mana. Shore Up, this is a reprint, gains hexproof. We have some cool little Spellslinger strategies here. Oh, this is actually really cool. Elvish Visionary, basically. Draw a card for 2 mana for a 1/1. We have the Whimsical Scribe. Becomes a target of spell or ability you control for the first time. Draw a card. So I'm actually loving this Spellslinger strategy. So it's red, black, splash white. Definitely. Sugarcoat. We've seen it before. We have the Parting Gust. This is really good. We can exile a non-token creature if the gift wasn't promised you return to the battlefield with +1/+1 counter. If not, it's just exiled and they get a 1/1 fish. So this is powerful. Kind of weird to splash though. And we have the Blooming Blast. We can gift a treasure. I wonder if black actually is the splash color. I don't know. I'm still leaning towards these. I'm leaning like red is probably our most powerful strategy here because we have a lot of cards that work off of casting. So 2 damage to a creature. We have a lot of removal in red. And a lot of gifting, though, so maybe we do play that little gifter that draws a card. We have a Thundertrap Trainer, which is a 1/2. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a non-creature and online card, and put in your hand. This is a really good card. Okay, the rest go on the bottom, though. They don't go into your graveyard. I'm like, man, this could just replace a couple of the cards we're using right now in like Attracts or Reanimation decks, but nope, it does not. And the Offspring for 4, you just get another one. So late game, you get a lot more value out of it. Early game, you just kind of cantrip and have a chump blocker. And we have a Skysong Sentinel, which can return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand. To 1 other. So they did make other so it doesn't like break Animar, like one of the cards that can bounce itself. So there you have it. That's kind of my pool. I'm still thinking we have some high impact, like these color combinations. We got a lot of cards in these color combinations. It definitely requires some splashing. The Fabled Pass just makes it good. The only problem is like if this deck wants to be kind of aggressive with a lot of red spell slinging type cards. And so red, the main color, and the other 2 are probably more splashy splash. And I think that's how I'm going to end up building it. But I'll have to report and see how I did with it. Maybe show you the full deck. But it's fun to open up these pre-release packs and see exactly, get my 2 cents on how to build them. Hope everyone enjoys this video. Thanks for watching.